Muy buenos días a todos. Quisiéramos darles la más cordial bienvenida al webinar del día de hoy que hemos realizado en conjunto con IPPI. El título es El impacto positivo de la innovación en el cambio climático. Quisiéramos agradecer a Judith Willett y a Cintia Petruselo por parte de IPPI, así como todo el equipo. También quisiéramos agradecer a Leonor Madarench y Marco Sardi en su condición de presidente y vicepresidente del Comité de Propiedad Intelectual y Sostenibilidad, así como Martín Michaus, que también es miembro del comité y expresidente de ACIPI por la organización de este webinar. Por último, quisiera agradecer a Magda, a Marco y a Pirke por haber aceptado la invitación del día de hoy. Es un honor tenerlos acá con nosotros. Leonor, you have the floor.
Thank you, Giselle. It's an honor to be here as chair of the IP and Sustainability Committee of AAPPI, and to have with me two members, very active members of our committee. And one of the members is Pirkki Fustinoni, who's a lawyer and vice president and head of IP and tech legal at Metso, based in Finland. And Metso is a company that has sustainability as their strategic priority. And Pirkki has certainly lots of experience on how innovation can impact climate change. And she will be moderating this panel together with our two esteemed colleagues who will be speakers. Speaker, thank you so much for accepting our invitation, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and hello from Finland. I'm extremely honored to be moderating this panel today regarding extremely important topic. And I have here with me two really high-level and knowledgeable panelists. First, I would like to present Mrs. Magda Voltolini. She is the IP and compliance manager in Erganeo, and she's member of the Sustainability Committee of IP as well. She completed a Master of Laws in Intellectual Property Law in 2013. Afterward, she pursued a degree in marketing. Her professional experience includes working with patents, patent data, and technology transfer. She has engaged in discussions on standard essential patents. She's also involved in sustainable development initiatives. Additionally, she focuses on the intersection of green technology and intellectual property. As a second panelist, we have an honor to have here Marco Matthias Aleman from Switzerland, presenting WIPO. Marco Aleman studied law at the Javeriana University, where he also obtained a corporate law certificate. He then obtained a diploma in advanced studies in research at the Alcalá University, Spain, and a PhD in law, 2011. Mr. Aleman practiced as an IP attorney from 91 to 95. He was then appointed head of the Colombian Industrial Property Office from 1995 to 1998, and was invited as a fellow visiting researcher at the prestigious Max Planck Institute in Munich, Germany, in 1998. He joined WIPO in 1999 as a senior program officer, Office of the Cooperation for Development and for Latin America and the Caribbean from 1999 to 2006. He was then appointed Deputy Director in the Division of Public Policy and Development from 2006 to 2009, Deputy Director of the Patent Law Division from 2009 to 2013, and went to the Director of Patent Law Division 2013 2020. He currently holds the position of Assistant Director General, leading the IP and Innovation Ecosystems sector, EAS, at WIPO. Today, in the beginning of our session, we will hear presentations from our two panelists, about 20 minutes each. And then after, we will start the discussion, presenting some questions to the panelists, after which we then open also the floor to the audience. You can send the questions to the feed, and we will then transfer them to the panelists. I'm looking forward very interesting discussion with all of you. And to start with, I give the floor for first 20 minutes to Mr. Marko Aleman, and he will present us about the IP and climate change from WIPO point of view. Floor is yours, Marko.
Yeah, Pirke, many thanks for giving me the floor, and let me thank Leonora as president of IPPI, and my dear friend Martin, president of the Committee of Climate and Sustainability of IPPI, and my dear friend Martin Michaus also for the very kind invitation, as well as colleagues like Giselle that have been helping in the coordination for my participation at this seminar. Let me share with you an very informal PowerPoint presentation that will probably allow us to move into a more coordinated fashion presentation on the issues I prepared for you, but I will be more than happy in the question and answer session to move into a more lively exchange on the different issues that I'm going to cover in this 20 minutes presentation. So the first thing is very glad for WIPO to be part of this conversation with IPPI and ACP on and be part of this webinar series on IP and climate change. We know that there have been previous webinars on the subject, and some of my esteemed colleagues from WIPO have been presenting other areas of work at WIPO. In WIPO, we have 4 Assistant Director General. Each one of us has some areas to lead. In my case, is the sector of IP and innovation ecosystem that deals with how we support the different innovation ecosystem in different countries to succeed. And in that regard, innovation in the area of climate change related technology is something that we take very seriously because of the challenges that are at stake in this subject. So let me move into a 15-slide presentation, and then we will go into the details. This one, you will probably realize that I may even stop my presentation after this first slide. You see here how the temperature of the air has increased since beginning of the last century, year by year, and you will see that more recently, I mean, in the second half of the last century, we start passing the 0 degrees progressively until at the end of the 20th century, we start seeing temperatures in red at the worldwide scale. And then after the 2000, there is more and more red, and this is either close to the +1 degree or either surpassing the +1 degree. And now you will see the big changes after the year 2000. So there is no need of great deal of explanation about the challenges we have, because it is clear that in terms of climate change, something dramatically start in early 21st century. And although innovation have never ever before have been so intensive in all fields, the challenges here in climate change and innovation are that high that probably more than individual actions, a kind of a global mobilization is needed, not only in terms of policies, but also in terms of investment and actions to promote innovation in this field. So let's go through some elements that I consider are relevant in our conversation. The first one is, it is clear that world leaders have been working in the latest COP, but since the Paris 2015 climate convention, and later on in different COP26, COP27, 28, there have been different agreements in order to commit at the global level with certain threshold. So in Glasgow, it was agreed by world leaders to meet the global warming limit of 2% and to even strive the 1.5% by the end of the century. Very concrete actions needs to be put in place. And in that regard, it is clear that innovation plays a very key role in finding out those solutions. And one of the elements that everybody agrees is these require massive investment in environmental technology. An example, technologies leading to greenhouse gas reduction, improved resources use, energy efficiency, waste minimization, reuse and recycling, and a forceful change of path away from polluting technologies. And countries are doing, from the country perspective, at the country level, great deal of actions and a number of initiatives have been put in place in that direction. Let me mention a few. At the European level, for example, the European Green Deal to reduce emissions by 55% with respect to 99 levels, and to attain global neutrality, but by 2050, is one example of high-level commitments at the European level. And it is coupled with important amount of money devoted to promote innovation in the field. About 35% of the 100 billion budget on the Horizon Europe are devoted to issues related to the challenges of climate change. And in the case of US, we probably remember at the COP26, the pledge from the US government, and particularly Joe Biden administration, in order to cut the country's emission by 50% from the 2005 level by the year 2030. And in the Joe Biden Building Back package, we remember that a big amount of money, 555 billion, were put in order to fight climate change. And in the case of China, there is a huge commitment to achieve carbon neutrality by 2060 and to strengthen research in the field of cutting-edge technology, such as nuclear fusion, smart grids, and new material. We will see in some of the statistics I will show later on how in these three regions that I mentioned, there is an important innovation activity taking place, and patent filing is a good indicator of what is happening there. But still, low carbon innovation technologies represent only 6% of the worldwide patenting activity. So there is huge innovation, but still an area where more can be done, both at the national level, at country level, and at the industry level and at the individual companies level. We will identify later on certain elements to see what are the opportunities and the big challenges there. So what we understand by environmental sound technologies. Probably you have been referring in the past to green technologies. Well, this is a synonymous. Environmental sound technology is used in a number of reports, but this is sometimes referred in the same way as green technologies. These green technologies as a whole plays a very crucial role in combating the twin challenges of global warming and pollution. So understanding what is happening here will have an impact, and without any doubt, in how we are going to address the challenges of climate change. We will, and I will show it with you, few of the data available on what is happening in terms of renewable energies in areas like solar, wind, hydroelectric power, and other technologies that reduce greenhouse emissions that, as you know, greenhouse emissions are a significant contributor to the global warming. So what are those technologies that are considered sound technology? This list is quite illustrative of what can be aggregated in any research about what are considered sound technologies, and in order to analyze what is happening there in terms of innovation. So let's see what our research is showing in WIPO. As this graphic shows, in the 70s, there was not big activity around the area of clean technologies. But something in 1973 spurred innovation in this field. And a lot of economists consider that the oil crisis at the time was one of the big motivations on the innovation rise in the area of clean technologies. And indeed, it was, as you can see, an important increase from 73 to 2011 of around 6% of annual growth. But after 2012, in particular in the period 12-17, the increase is, there is a clear stagnation in the total in patents filing at the worldwide scale. And it would be good to identify what could be the drivers of this stagnation after 2012. If we disaggregate this data, we identify the following. Total filings in clean technologies by different categories are described in this graphic. And as you can see there, energy-related technology is the one with the biggest growing, and in particularly climate change mitigation related to energy is the one in red, that in which you see a big increase after in the period 2000 to 2010. You will see that the other increase are less notable in areas like environmental management or climate change mitigation related both to transportation and buildings. And there are other where is almost totally flat, like in capture, storage, or disposal of greenhouse gases. Now, if we disaggregate the one related to energy, then you will see that this can be also disaggregated by subcategories. So technologies in energy by subcategories shows that the big increase is in the area of energy storage. But there are other areas like solar photovoltaic energy, fuel cells, wind, solar, and biofuels that are also showing an increase, but not as important as the one you can see in energy storage. So something is happening at the country level. And probably one of the things that is happening at the country level is the policies that have been put in place, either policies to push or to pull technology in innovation. And this is, I mean, policymakers agreed that there is a need of government intervention at certain period, at the beginning of the period, in order to promote and to incentivize innovation, and is less needed later on. Here, one clear government intervention is the amount of money that is put from the government side in promoting innovation. Here you have clean energy research and development spending in US dollar by countries up to 2018. That is the data that we have in WIPO as data available. And you see key players there: France, Japan, United States, China, Germany, United Kingdom, India. And then you see the rest of the world contribute with what is in gray. So there is a lot that can be done from the government point of view in order to promote innovation in the area of clean technology. One of those areas that attract great deal of interest for us is the area of low carbon technology in the transport sector, because transport and energy production are considered the biggest polluter, and having clean technologies there will have a positive impact. In the case of road transport, you see here in this graphic is where more patents have been filed in the period under analysis. And if you disaggregate that, you will see that electric vehicles is the one of the technology with a higher increase in the same period of analysis. So what may be behind those? In my view, there have been a number of key policies in different regions of the world that triggers this innovative activity in those areas. If we take the example of this sector, transportation, and in particular what happened in the case of electric vehicles, you will see that in the 1970 and the 1980, oil was perceived as a very convenient source of energy for road transportation. And for many years, there was a delay in promoting innovation in the field. But then a number of actions took place, even at the very local level. Probably some of you remember, policies put it in place in California. And California started its low emission vehicle program in the 90s. And after that, they pushed for zero emission vehicles to account for 2% of total sales of each automaker in 1999, and progressively to arrive to 10% of automaker production in 2003. Later on, the federal government, the United States, adopted similar legislation at the federal level, and then the Department of Energy supports that innovation with big funds that pass from 70 million to 1.2 million per year over the period 2090-2095. So there is, for sure, a role for governments in pushing or pulling innovation in the field. And of course, companies plays a key role. Probably many of you remember I was particularly impressed the first time I saw the Toyota Prius model in the year 2000. You cannot imagine. I was impressed with this car and what the technology that car brought. And from then we see this impressive increase in the auto maker industry worldwide. And more of these things will continue without a doubt in the coming year. So if we go back to the total filings, here you have the more recent data in WIPO available, that is from the period 2011, 2016, 2021. As you remember, in the case of patents, some of the data is made available some year after the filing take place. So this analysis up to 21 shows in the case of environmental technology a number that in my view is quite impressive. From 2011, almost 27,000 patents to almost 70,000 patents in the year 2021, with an increase of about, in average, from the period 2011-2021, of almost 10%. This is huge, and this, if you compare with other sectors in the chemistry field, you will see that this area of environmental technology is moving. Of course, we would like more, but there is an increase in total filing. If we disaggregate, then one of our key report, that is the World Intellectual Property Indicator report, use these 5 categories to show filing of patents in what we call green technologies. And in that 5 areas, you will see reflected clearly this reduction on total filing after the year 2012. But then you see an uptake in 2021. We don't have more data. Our 23 report of World Intellectual Property Indicator is going to be released in the third quarter of this year. So late this quarter, and then we will have more data, and we will see whether 2022 also goes in an uptake in these 5 areas. But you see that solar energy, for example, is doing extremely well, and compared to where we were in 2006, is huge now. But you see that fuel cell technology in 2006 was almost half of the total number of patents, and it contributes now in a more limited number. My timer is ringing now, and we promise to be attached to the 20-minute time presentation. So apologies for that. I will take 2 more minutes, moderator and chair, if you allow me.
Yes.
Thank you. You are very kind. So here you have the different areas, and here you have in each of those technology where the technology is coming from. And the main source of the technology change depending on the type of technology. In solar energy, is China, followed by the Republic of Korea. So it's mainly Asia. But in fuel cell technology, is Japan and China, so is Asia, but see the big contribution of Japan in fuel cell technology. While in wind energy technology, is China, but followed by Denmark and Germany. And if you take the Denmark contribution and the German contribution, you see a big contribution of Europe in this area. So it changed in each of the cases. And for example, in hydro energy, it is China followed by the Russian Federation. So technology coming from different regions of the world, and the geography of innovation is widening and is changing with the pass of the time. One key element, though, is not only how much technology is available, but is how costly is the use of that technology. And in a recent report we produced, we analyzed the share of newly installed renewable power generation capacity when this capacity is cheaper than the cheapest fossil fuel-fired option. And as you will see in 2016, the situation was not that good. But in 2021, we can see that the reduction in both solar and wind is dramatic, is very important. And the more this price goes down compared to the option of other fuel-fired options, the more the consumer will go toward that option. Allow me to stop here and to give the floor back to Irke, and probably we can go into more into other issues during the question and answer session. Many thanks.
Thank you very much, Marco. This was a really interesting overview. And let's listen now our second panelist, Magda Voltolini. because she will go deep to the French academic patents related to road transportation and climate change. First stages of patent analysis using patent site indicators. And I think that after having listened that presentation as well, we have then a very, very good background to start the discussion. Magda, floor is yours.
Thank you, Pat. So thanks everyone. Thanks Leonor Magalhães for having invited me. Thanks for the team of ASIP and also IPPI for organizing the seminar. And also I'm very happy that I'm sharing this presentation with you all, and especially with Marco Aleman, and having Puck Nini as the moderator. So a brief explanation about myself. So I'm speaking on my own. I'm not representing Erganeo, the TTO that I work for in Paris. I am the IP coordinator of the CEST project, and my job is to monitor patents in mobility, in smart cities, and also innovative construction. So what's the topic of the presentation is French academic patents in road transportation. So I will start my presentation so you can like see what I will be doing. Sorry for the inconvenience. Here's my presentation. Just a moment.
Take your time.
Yeah, just so I'll go back to the beginning. I just want to make sure that my computer is okay. So here I am.
Thank you. Now we can see clearly. Thank you.
I hope that my computer is okay. So here's the title. So as Mark was explaining, the countries are budget 54 billion in general as part of the Green Deal. In France, we call it France 2030. Part of this 54 billion, 9 billion is for public research projects. And also in this, and part of this 9 billion, 3 billion is allocated to programs and equipments for priority research. These are concept programs that analyze the life cycle assessment of products and scientific projects with people, how they react. So there is also 269 million dedicated for technology transfer in green and digital transition. So what's the goal of this fund? It is to finance green and digital transition. It is to create scientific communities and facilitate upstream R&D collaborations. And it's also to monitor patents in these areas to develop future policies. So about the national strategies for innovation, the topic of the slide is up front. So here are samples. In total, they are 17. Like, for instance, this is the one I'm working for, digitalization and organization of mobilities. As I was explaining, there is the other project that's called Program and Equipment for Priority Research, which is the 3 billion. And that's what's important. They do the life cycle analysis, and also they study how people and scientific projects interact to create policies. Here is the list of the 17 projects. They were awarded in 2023. One of the goals is to allow sovereignty for France. France wants to be a leader in these areas. Here it is an example of the city. So as you can see, there are the common goals, which is to support innovation for technology transfer and generating positive impact on society and also the environment. Another goal is to create a community of scientific experts at a national level. And then there is also a kind of leadership. The university, here in this case is Gustave Eiffel, leads the pre-maturation phase, which is correspond to the technology readiness level 1 to 3. We level from 4 to 6 or 7. So here are the list of the main topics, which we developed in particular a taxonomy. I will go back to the taxonomy so later. Now here is the scientific community. As you can see, in total is like the heads, which is Gustave Eiffel and the TTO-RDNO. And here the CEREMA and the FPN as research institution, and others are universities and other TTOs. In total, it's more or less 19. Often other institutions that are part of the TTOs, like for instance, NHS. So a good question that you can ask is what technologies are dependent on government support? So there was a study that analyzed patents published by the USPTO between 1988 and 2017. So the highly dependent ones are hydrogen technology, carbon dioxide management, and the medium dependent are energy transformation and batteries. So what's climate change? What provokes climate change? I'll go straight to the subject. It's greenhouse gas emissions. What's the biggest contributor in France? Road transportation. That's why I chose to do a patent query about here. Let's take a look in the taxonomy prepared by the International Energy Agency. They decided that there are 501 technologies with the goal of net zero emissions, and divided in 5 top domains, which are buildings, industry, transport, carbon dioxide management, and energy transformation. And it's also divided in subsectors and also technology readiness level. Okay, so here are the technology readiness level developed by the International Energy Agency. And here an example of the technology readiness level in road transportation, which is mature. When we are talking about academic patents, we talk about concept, which is TRL from 1 to 3, which is equivalent of the program POPR, or the phase of Gustave Eiffel that monitors in the city, and the TTO usually monitors from TRL 3 or 4, let's say 4, to 6 or 7. Moving forward, I used the taxonomy of the International Energy Agency to capture keywords. And also I used the IPC and CPC 002 patent classification to see what I could find. So you see here is fuel cells, road transport. There is one about combustion engine that's related to vehicles. So here I'm explaining to you how I created my search. And here, what I want to say that there is also classification of the CPC that was created in 2013 by the PTO and the USPTO. And some authors say that it helps strategic decision making because no experts can identify the green technologies easily. So now I just have to have a sip of water. So based on this search, I said, well, let's see how French academic patents are evolving with these keywords, with this patent classification between 2010 in road transportation between 2010 and now. As you can see, COA and CNRS and EFN are the leaders. This is well known if you read any publication. They are the leaders in the field in transportation. And so what is interesting to find out, I will go forward, is that EFN, I'll go back, EFN started, you see, declining the patents. So because I considered what Marco said, and then I was kind of observing as well his comments. And then just to say that I didn't ignore that the how competitive they are in terms of really scientific knowledge. So you can see here that the catalyst, which is a crucial technology for fuel cell, hydrogen production, and so on, is on the top of the list of technology relevance. I'll move to the next one because it's easier to see. Most cited French academic patents by technology relevance. So here it is. Beamforming is an algorithm of a network, but here we can see the laser scanner, which is related to LIDAR, the catalyst, electrode material, that installation. They have a very high technology relevance, which means that the French academic patents, they are very good in terms of technology development. So here is an explanation I try to share. The catalyst is crucial for hydrogen production or fuel cell technology. Electrode material is crucial for batteries, fuel cell, supercapacitors, and charging stations. Reformer is crucial for hydrogen production or fuel cell technology. Here is the most cited French academic patents by third parties. Here, as you can see, they are more or less similar ones. But then we can understand what competition, what the other inventors, patent holders are copying or are using as well to build their technology. By domain, so I said, okay, going a little bit further, what is growing since 2015? I knew there was patent declining. So the charge equalization is growing. It was growing a lot, but then there was COVID, as you can see here. And then it started like stabilizing. So charge equalization ensures all cells are charged equally in a battery pack or in a charging station. But the only one that is increasing is with the energy storage and driver assistance. So as you can see, there is indeed a tendency of having a small decline, but overall they are increasing. Now I get to the relative business value of protection of this fund. Then if they are just protected trends, so there is this joint owned patent by Bolloré group from North University, which is in electrode material. There is the reformer, which is crucial for climate change. And as you can see here, again, the competitive impact is very high. Why? Because it has an important market coverage, and also the technology is relevant to the field. Here is the national position of patent asset index, is when you consider the whole portfolio. And then, as we're receiving questions, because it's taking my attention, as you can see here, once you have a competitive impact that's very high, it's more than, it's basically, you're going to have also a patent asset index that's very high, because the competitive impact represents each patent, and the patent asset index represents the sum of all the competitive impact of each patent. As I said, well, the topic that I have questions, so I always take a look at the CPC, because I'm interested. If I were like an investor and I wanted to invest in green technology, I would say, well, I would go ahead and take a look on the Y scheme. So as you can see here, energy storage has 46 patents, and as mentioned, 46 times. The fuel cell, which is the B, is mentioned 18 times. And then we can see here the owner as well, the COR, again, the FM, they will be very repetitive because usually they are the leaders. But we can see already the technologies that are being mentioned with the Y scheme. Then I have a question for everybody who is a patent attorney, or if someone is in an IP office, like basically EPO or USP people, we can ask an examiner. Why sometimes, like for instance, there is this patent of EF10, Renault channel, and then there is another one that's also solar here, COR. And then, as you can see here, they're both, they have the patent has both the Y scheme, but this one has 0. Then I took a look further on these ones, because of course, you have to dig in each category to find out what you are finding, to go further when you are studying the patents. You see that the first patent owned by COR is battery recharging, and then you see here the Y code of the patent classification. Here, EF10 is a land vehicle or truck trailer with removable container for electrical energy. Doesn't have, and the standard does is like a climate certification technology. And here, the hybrid electric power storage system owned by COR and Renault, they don't have it as well. And then this is the question. I'll go back. Should the patent be drafted differently? Should the patent be drafted to influence the codes Y02, Y04 on the granted patent? It's a question to be answered. I don't have the answer. Then, here is the third part for citations of French academic patents. So I took a look, the owner, French government, the French since 2015, which offices are citing a French patent. Then, as you can see, France, obviously, then second, United Kingdom, China, Japan, Spain. That is aggregated data, so I cannot tell you exactly what it is now. But here we go to find out by technology cluster, CNR, CF10, COR, COR energy. How do they protect? Then you can see that in France it's very high, and then the US, I think Germany second, and US, United Kingdom is more or less the same. Then you can see here the Scandinavian, then China, Japan, more or less the same line. So overall, it means that French patents are more, they are protected in France. And in these countries here, US, Germany, United Kingdom, if you always just explains. Yeah, so I took a look at the recent technologies, and then or here is not even granted. That's why it's protected else and according to patents. Market coverage includes the geographical protection, and then they consider the gross national income. In the United States being the biggest one, so it increases the value of market coverage. So here it remains very low. And then just to give a big picture, here's the portfolio size trend of research in the world. So obviously, China is very important. So here it gets all the top positions. So I excluded China, and then I can see COA here in the 7th position, which is very good for France. There is also Fraunhofer from Germany in Europe. So the other ones you can see the US. Now, next one. So what are the conclusions? COA, CNRS, and most cited types include electronic material and energy storage. The battery academic portfolio is rising, especially energy storage. Most of our portfolio is in electronic material university with the highest competitive impact index. To the patent we draft in a specific way to ensure wide codes. Market coverage of key patents technologies is low because patents are not yet granted or only granted in France. The COA portfolio in energy storage comprises 90 patents, in which 46 have the code Y and 18 the code B, fuel cells. So thank you very much. If you have any questions about I think I pass the word now to Kurt. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Magda. This was also truly interesting presentation with really interesting statistics and knowledge. I would like now to open the discussion. We have 15 minutes left for our discussion, and since we have already received very good questions, and I encourage all of you to send more questions to the feed. So first, from audience, a couple of questions to Marco. So, Marco, are there important incentives to invest in non-polluting technologies and enough market demand to foster innovation? And I can see, yeah.
No, you are. So, can you repeat the question? I'm not sure I got it.
Yes, I will repeat the question. The question is that are there important incentives to invest in non-polluting technologies and enough market demand to foster innovation?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's what I mentioned in the presentation, that both pushing and pulling technology from the policy perspective is quite important. And there are a number of examples that have worked very well. Website governments allocating resources for innovation, but in other sides, through the pooling, for example, in the case of solar panels and the case of electrical vehicles, a number of key measures have been incentivizing consumer interest through different subsidies, for example, and making the technology more accessible. And good example of that have been efforts that have been made by the government, for example, of US or the government of Germany in both solar panel and electrical vehicles. But still, an important challenge here is one, the price of those technologies needs to be competitive. And if the traditional oil and fossil related technology is cheaper, consumer will have the tendency to go to those options. So something in terms of the cost of this market technology need to go down. And innovation plays a very key role in that exercise. More innovation will make this technology more accessible, more available, and less costly. I use few examples in the case of wind technology in one of my presentations. But some of the key challenges here is innovators in this area still facing great challenges in penetrating markets, and innovators are taking huge risk in the different new or breakthrough technology areas in which they are working. So whatever we can do to reduce risk from the company's side, and whatever we can do to incentivize consumers to move toward clean technologies, are two key measures of interventions, both from the private sector and from the government side, that can facilitate a more dynamic innovation activity in this field. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, I think that was a very, very good and comprehensive answer. And then I may go to the second question that is then treating the developing countries. So how is the scenario of the global clean technologies for developing countries?
This is a very key question. If you take the geography of innovation, as I mentioned before, there is a big change. And among the list of key players in clean technology, we identify countries like China and South Korea, both developing countries. So there is innovation taking place in key developing countries, but not in every single developing country. So if developing countries would like to play a key role in being the source of technology, more efforts are needed in terms of innovation. But if the main concern of developing country is getting access to the technology, then we have to address this in a smart way. If we want to learn something from the health-related challenges, is that measures should not rely extensively in any mandatory solution. It needs to be accessed in a voluntary basis, because otherwise the incentive to innovation will get reduced. And if incentive innovation get reduced, then the outcome of innovation activities also will get reduced. What we need is more innovation. So any option from the developing countries' perspective needs to be in how they play a role in promoting innovation in clean technology, and how they benefit from that, instead of action that can, I would say, disincentivize the current interest that is not that high, as we mentioned before, in the development of these new technologies.
Thank you, Marco, very much. I then may continue after I have something from my end to continue this discussion. But let's then go to the questions from audience to Magda. And here the first question from audience is: that are other European countries following the French leadership on this academic patents program?
Well, I can say that the French National Agency, part of that 9 billion is also to finance projects and training programs. And also that France of 2013 is financed by the European Commission as part of the Green Deal, part of the 55 actions. So specifically, I don't know the details. I'm specialized in the French system, a French framework. But obviously, we are under the umbrella of the Green Deal and the laws. But you can complement, because you are in Finland, you are also European, that the laws are descending and they are being implemented in every country with their own strengths, I would say, like assembling scientific committees and developing according to scientific possibilities as well.
Yes, thank you. And the additional question to that is also that do you, Magda, believe that the protection of these technologies will be inclined by patents and or trade secrets?
Well, as part of the ANR, ANR is the Agence Nationale de la Recherche, the French National Agency. We have indicators. Erganio is the lead of with Gustave Eiffel of the CEST projects, and we have to report data. And it's only patents and software and other ones. Trade secrets are not included. Trade secrets is difficult for technology transfer because it can dissolve and becomes public knowledge. So the response is mostly it's patents. I would not even use the word mostly. It is patents.
Thank you, Magda. And we have here more questions, and from the audience. Next question is addressed and directed to Marco again, and here the question is that in the analysis of industrial applicability requirement, it would not be advisable to elevate the assessment of this requirement with related aspects if the product and technology being analyzed are environmentally friendly?
That's a tricky question for me. Look, I firmly believe that I would say patentable subject matter and patentability criteria should not be sector oriented. So patent should be a mechanism that plays well to promote innovation in every sector. When we start making difference among sector, then we are accommodating the patent system according to the needs, particularly whether you are a source of technology or whether you are a consumer of the technology, and not necessarily the patent system should play that role. Now, the thresholds and the way those requirements are analyzed, one principle of patent law is those should be analyzed either at the national level when it comes to national legislation, or at the regional level when there is regional legislation. So how IP Office address those different requirements in different fields require an analysis according to the specific need of that jurisdiction. Now, I don't see any reason intrinsically why, in the case of clean energy, we should elevate requirement of industrial applicability, because if there is one requirement that should be analyzed without any distinction of field, is this one: is whether the technology can be exploited with this industrial oriented intention, and if certainly there is a field where this is happening, is in the case of clean technology. We identify already areas like transportation as one source of pollution, energy production as one sort of production. All those are key examples of areas that are industry oriented. So I cannot see at the first sight a reason for elevating that requirement, but certainly in order to give a sound reply from my side, it requires a more deep analysis and probably required for me to take a more, I would say, a deeper approach to the subject before getting back. Otherwise, I will be very irresponsible in giving a reply now.
Yes, thank you, Marco. Very well elaborated answer. Then I have one question to Magda, and this is quite a practical question. You were showing those keywords in your presentation, and the question is that. How should the patent attorney draft a green title, claim, and description? Which kind of tips you could give for this?
Well, first I have to say that I'm not a patent attorney. So, but I have spoken to my colleagues who are patent attorneys because we have been asking this question about the Y scheme. So one of my colleagues said, well, is the keywords, is there also another question that we are asking is about the, specifically what you're saying about the industrial application. So I believe, that's my personal view, that the keywords specifically to the technology in the climate change mitigation may help to define that it's literally climate change mitigation technology, but also another question that's related to this is the industrial application, because if you, the patent is, this is my personal view, I'm speaking here for myself, is that if the patent attorney drafts a general specification, meaning that the patent is drafted in a way that can be to any sort of industrial application. Also, I would mention with more definition the industrial application of the technology. But that's my point of view.
Thank you very much. Then I think this might be already the last question, but this is a more academic one and very interesting regarding the research. So and I think that this question goes to Marco. The research in intellectual property and green technology is essential for fostering innovation, promoting sustainability, and addressing environmental challenges. However, researchers have conducted studies often relying on different definitions of what constitutes green technology. And this has led not only to inconsistency in reports, but also to confusion among readers. So the question is that what WIPO can do in this regard? And Marco, you
are totally right. Even in the report we have produced an important number of patent landscaping reports in the area of green technology. I invite you to take a look of the WIPO website, and there are at least 10 different patent landscaping reports in fuel cells technology, microalgae related technology, e-waste recycling technologies, solar cooking, solar cooling, and many other patent landscaping reports. But in doing that, one of the difficulties we have is taking certain definitions. Even in WIPO, we have that approach, and we know that researchers, both coming from research institution and from IP office, are the same problem. They need to rely in a definition of what means green technology. And the problem is we are taking different definition of what green technology means. And it would be important to do an exercise at the international level to try to come with something that is more or less, I would say, acceptable at the international level. The WIPO's IPC Green Inventory provides a good starting point. But when you go to the IPC classification, as Magda mentioned in her presentation, the issue is there is not total correlation. So what people normally do is they use the IPC, International Patent Classification, and then they add keywords to search within the IPC what they are looking for. But let me give you an example, and then you will realize the complexity. The technology associated with the carbon dioxide, for example, and if you take carbon dioxide, the dioxide absorption, you will probably go to the IPC classification B01D53/00. But then if you go to that classification, you will see that it includes technologies for absorbing not only carbon dioxide, but absorbing other gas material. So you need to use a keyword on carbon dioxide within the classification to get what you are really looking for. So in my view, the possibility at the international level in working in some kind of harmonized technology for a statistical purpose will be a great contribution for future research.
Thank you very much. And let's say, unfortunately, the time is running out because there would be so many interesting aspects to discuss. But I think that I can conclude this great discussion with the words that certainly innovation is a key driver of economic growth and solution to global challenges as set out in the United Nations Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals. And sustainability and climate change are more central than ever to IP policy discussion. And this is what our discussion also today has shown. I'm extremely honored having had the possibility to moderate this discussion. I want to sincerely thank ACP, IP, both panelists and our IP and Sustainability Committee, and of course all the audience and all who have made this great panel happening. And thank you for the great questions and great discussion.
Thank you very much, Pirke. Thank you very much, Magda and Marco, for a great webinar. Very interesting. Muchas gracias a todas las personas que nos acompañaron el día de hoy. Las personas que no nos pudieron acompañar podrán encontrar la grabación en nuestras redes sociales o bien en nuestra página web. El próximo webinar que tenemos del ciclo de webinars ACP IPPI será el 14 de marzo. Perdone, el 7 de noviembre. Disculpe. Asimismo, quisiéramos invitarles al próximo webinar como tal de ACP, que será el 5 de septiembre sobre las oficinas de derecho de autor ante el desafío de la inteligencia artificial, retos y oportunidades. Y también al webinar de IPPI, que será sobre el WIPO Treaty on Intellectual Property, Genetic Resources, and Associated Traditional Knowledge from a Nation-Pacific Perspective. Por último, quisiéramos aprovechar para invitarlos a que nos acompañen a CIPI en Panamá, que será del 1 al 4 de diciembre, y el Early Bird termina el 3 de octubre, entonces por favor que se vayan registrando. Y también al Congreso Anual de IPPI, que será del 19 al 22 de octubre en Hangzhou, China. Y recordarles que el registro cierra el 20 de septiembre, así que queda poco tiempo, por favor, que se vayan registrando. Por último, quisiéramos agradecer a nuestros patrocinadores institucionales por el apoyo que nos dan a lo largo de todo el año. Muchas gracias a todos.